Well, hello, and welcome to Alcohol, Drugs, and Us. I'm excited, folks. I'm excited about tonight, what will be discussed. We're going to talk about I blacked out and I passed out. My name is Joseph McCray. I'm a registered nurse in the field of addiction treatment. And this is a YouTube, it's a Facebook, it's a podcast. It's a show where myself and my wife we talk about alcohol and drugs. We talk about alcohol and drugs, and we try to help you be able to navigate this thing called life and life without alcohol and drugs. And so I got a really important topic that I want to share tonight, and I want to just kind of play around on this phone right here and just do some sharing, just share with some folks that I think um, might really get something out of this talk tonight. And so let me share this broadcast here. So tonight we're going to talk about I passed out, I blacked out, and what was that all about, right? What was that all about? And so I want to thank you for tuning in. And please do jump in with questions, comments. I'm opening myself up tonight. I'm not afraid. I'm okay with sharing my testimony about what alcohol did to me. And so it starts out at age 16, and I was curious. See, sometimes people say they drank because genetics, or they say because they're friends, peer pressure, all that kind of stuff, and that is possible. But I got drunk because I just wanted to know what does drunk look like. What does it feel like? And so I had some great friends who we all hung together on the weekends, and we would have our occasional drink. Um, but the big part of what we would do is play a lot of spades. We play a lot of spades. So this one night, we were together hanging out, but I just had this curiosity to get drunk, folks. And so I had my beer, I had my Bacardi rum, and I just kept guzzling down, just kept guzzling down all of this alcohol, and with the hopes that I would get to you know feeling really tipsy and all that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? After I did all that drinking, the next thing I remember was waking up on a sofa and hearing a wash machine running, and turning to uh, my friend, and I said, "What is that noise?" And he said, "You vomited in my tennis shoes." And I'm getting my tennis shoes washed. And he wasn't happy at all about it. But what was amazing about that experience was that he recorded it, folks. He grabbed a tape recorder and he let me listen to it. And in the middle of that, um, my speech was slurred. I almost spoke like somebody demonically possessed, okay? And just in saying that, just reminded me, Father, I just thank you for this talk. Someone's life is blessed in Jesus' name. And I sounded demonic, folks. My speech was slurred. I was talking all these inappropriate things, and people were in the room and they were laughing. There were children, they were cracking up. Um, but when the morning came, I had no recollection. And so that's what happens in a blackout. It is drinking quickly within like a 2 hour period of time, or drinking on an empty stomach, uh, and you get your alcohol level up to what's called 0.16, or 16% of alcohol in your body. So we know that the number 0.08 is legally intoxicating. So now you have double that in about a 2 hour period of time. You have consumed a lot of alcohol. So that's anywhere from like uh, 10 beers, uh, uh, half a gallon, I mean, not half a gallon, but like a pint of gin can get your level up that high, especially if you're a novice, if you haven't been drinking. Now, some people who have a tolerance, it may not really move their alcohol level at all. But for me, I was a novice. I was just um, curious to get drunk. And in that blackout, I was just so inappropriate. And I asked my best friend, I said, what made you grab an audio tape? What made you grab a tape recorder? And he said, watching me was just so embarrassing to see me just act like a fool. I mean, I was out of my mind. And what happens in a blackout is that your brain, the hippocampus of your brain, is not able to take short term memory and move it to long term memory. So you don't store memory. Things are happening. You're active. You're doing things. There's stories of people driving places. There's stories of people being taken advantage of sexually. All kind of things can happen in a blackout because you're not totally aware of what you're doing. Okay, the alcohol has consumed, and it is now affecting your brain to the point where you're very what we call disinhibited. You're sort of like free, and in that freedom, sometimes people get into fights. Uh, it can get really nasty, can really go left. But I used to always talk about having a blackout. But you know what? Also, I realized I actually passed out too. Because when he said I vomited in his tennis shoes, that meant I went to sleep. And so now my alcohol level continued to rise, folks. Continue to rise, uh, probably as high as 0.2, 0.25, 20%, 25% alcohol in my body as a 16-year-old, okay? And now the body went unconscious. Folks, that's what happens in a passing out. You go unconscious. And some people have gone unconscious. Their gag reflex is not strong, and they vomit and they choke off of their own vomit. Okay, that's what can happen in a passing out. So you can black out, you're active, you're doing things, you're acting out, you're saying things, you're inappropriate, but you're active, okay? But as the alcohol level is increasing, you now go into a loss of consciousness, okay? And that loss of consciousness can cause you to vomit, cause you to choke off your vomit, but can also increase to the point of alcohol poisoning. You're getting levels now of 0.3 and higher, and you're getting into alcohol poisoning, which can now shut down breathing, can also cause changes in your heart rhythm. So this is serious about alcohol, and this happens in some colleges. This happens, people trying to outdrink each other, all that kind of stuff. And your passing out could be alcohol poisoning and could also lead to death. Okay, so I'm very fortunate to have blacked out, passed out, and survived. I'm very fortunate, and so fortunate that I'm here telling you all about it. And you say, well, why are you telling this story, Joe? I'm telling this story, folks, because alcohol is just that toxic. It's just that dangerous, okay? That you could drink, lose your judgment, forget how many drinks you've had, overdrink, get your alcohol level up to 0.16 or 16% of alcohol in your body, now cause you to be saying and doing things and um, acting out in sometimes dangerous ways to the point where you come out of it and then you have no recollection of what you've done. You can further go into a passing out stage where you fall off to sleep. And sometimes people let people sleep it off, but that's pretty dangerous because you have no idea what their alcohol level is and just how dangerous that could be. So You do want to keep people set up, or you do want to sort of turn them to their side if you are going to let them sleep at all, and just kind of closely watch them. Sometimes it may even be worth calling the ambulance, because you just don't know if they have developed an alcohol poisoning to the point where they may be slipping into a coma or even death. So this is very real. This can happen with young people, happen with myself at 16, it happened with college folks. And just wanted to just kind of take a moment and just share that with you. I blacked out, I passed out. So when it's so funny, when I read the textbooks about blacking out and passing out, it it was absolutely what I did. Yeah, I mean, they could put my picture in the textbook. Um, it woke me up, folks. The tape recording, listening to it, I was embarrassed as well. My best friend was embarrassed, but I was embarrassed too, to the point where I never felt the challenge to do that again. You see that? I wasn't this daredevil anymore. I didn't want to, like, ooh, let me see what drunk is like. I didn't want to do that. I learned quickly that alcohol is not to be played with, that it can seriously change your life forever. And so I never got drunk again. I never got drunk again. And I thank God for that. And I thank God for um, what He has done as far as taking me through the path of my life and allowing me to be able to be in the field to help people with addiction, with treatment, and to be able to tell the story. I shared this story with my patients yesterday, and with the hope that they could hear that alcohol is a dangerous substance. It's a dangerous substance. A number of people are dying, somewhere in a number of like 170 some thousand people yearly now, as a result of the impact COVID had on treatment and people isolating. Okay, so the numbers used to be around 90,000 a year, and now we're looking at almost twice that amount. So, my message to you is that alcohol is very serious. Do stop and think about what it is you're doing. Do make some telephone calls. Um, I was just reading a questionnaire, and it says if you have to ask yourself, do I have a problem? You probably have a problem. You know, you probably have a problem. So, uh, take these words that I've shared, and hopefully that you will take it and put it into some good use. You probably know somebody who's struggling. You probably maybe have family, people you love that are struggling. And you sometimes a lot of people say, well, what can I do, Joe? Where could I go? There are groups. There's one group that I mention all the time, and that's Al-Anon, AL-ANON. And I got some time. I can just type that in for you, because families really suffer with trying to figure out where to go. So this is a good group that'll help you understand. Your local church is great. They may have some ministry there to kind of speak to you. Of course, the Word of God is always there to minister to you, but sometimes you might need something more specific. Uh, in our city of Baltimore, you can call 637-1900. This is Baltimore Health Systems. This is a place that can connect you to treatment. Even if you don't want to dial all those numbers, you can just dial 988 and find some treatment near you. Um, but just coming back to the topic of I blacked out, I passed out, and like I said, for the longest time, I always used to focus on the blacking out part, but I actually passed out too. The alcohol continued to increase. The only organ in your body that will sober you up, folks, is your liver. And if you drink faster than the liver can process and metabolize and break down alcohol, you're going to get drunk. Okay, you're just going to get drunk. And the liver can work as hard as it can, but it can't work any harder than sort of processing like an average drink. That's a 10, 12 ounce beer, uh, 5 ounce glass of wine, a 1.5 ounce of gin, vodka, um, per hour. That's about all the liver can do. And if you drink faster than that, it's got its work cut out for it, okay? To try to get that alcohol all out of you and sober you up. And so, serious stuff that can happen with you, blacking out, passing out, can be deadly, can be very life threatening. Sometimes people come out with some really bad stories from it. And I just shared with you my testimony, how I survived, how I had a friend who had the wherewithal to say, "Give me a recording tape. Give me a tape recorder." He didn't do it for the mere benefit to laugh about it later. He did it for the mere concern. He just had a genuine concern that this is not good. Like, seeing him act this way is not good. And I'm so glad he taped it, because if he had told me I did those things, I probably would not have believed him. And who knows, I might have continued down that road of addiction to alcohol. But God was there, His angel was there, rescued me, delivered me, said, "No, Joe, this is not the way to go." And now He's brought me into the field of addiction treatment, where I get to do it 40 hours a week. I get to do it on the side as a business, and I also get to do it as ministry, folks. This is ministry. This is ministry. It's YouTube, it's Facebook, it's podcasting, but it's still ministry, because it's still touching the lives of people, and I'm just so happy to be able to do that. And so I just wanted to make myself available, folks. I just wanted to say, hey, I'm here. This is what I do, but I just don't do it because, you know, oh, I can make a couple of dollars, but I do it because I personally was touched by alcohol. I personally had my life changed as a result of alcohol, and I really was in a place where I could have lost my life as a young person. Okay, I really could have. But thanks be to God, I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm well, and I'm gonna tell people about alcohol. I'm not gonna be shy. I'm gonna tell them until I can't tell them anymore, and then I'm gonna leave a couple little notes for them, a couple little, ways where they could find out even more about it. These videos will be out there forever and ever and ever. And I want to thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. If there's a question or comment, I'll stay on for a little while to hear you. If you type something in, oh, something just came in. Let's see what we got here. So Patricia said, "How do you reach the younger generation? What is the youngest age you help turn their life around?" That's a good one, Patricia. I don't do a lot of work with youth. Um, when I first started out with my business, I did go to juvenile bookings and gave some talks there. But somehow, I'm just not the one that connects with the youth. I just haven't found my message is to the people who are young, or teens. My audiences are more people who are in the throes of addiction and their family members. Uh, that's who I've identified, who I'm called to. But there is a lot of work being done to try to help teens. There are organizations like the National Institute of Drug Abuse. They do a lot of teen outreach. There is the NIAA, the National Institute of Alcoholism and Alcohol Abuse. They do a lot of work, and you can always search to see what they're doing in the area, or if they could, come to your particular community center or church and things like that. I'm sure there are people that do that. Um, but my group of people are probably as young as 18, 19, 20. Some people I get in treatment who are young adults. I got a gentleman now in treatment who he's wrestling with the idea that he doesn't really think that his alcohol and marijuana use is that bad, and he kind of feels like he's going to go right back and continue drinking. He hasn't heard anything convincing, but just recently I was sharing, and he learned that for each drink, each average drink is will take your alcohol level up to 0.01 to 0.02. He didn't know that, and so if you consume about 4 beers or 5 beers, you can easily get yourself up to uh, zero point 0.08. So maybe I made some headway with him. So that's the best I got for you, Miss Patricia. Christopher said, "Was that the time you drank alcohol when you had a blackout?" Yeah, that was the time. That was a teenage. I was a teenager. That was I almost want to say it was around Christmas time. I remember it. Um, yeah, I almost want to say either Christmas Eve or a couple of days before that. But yeah, that was the time. Trisha said, "Keep being a blessing and of service to those you reach. It is needed in the world today. Mental health is affiliated with alcohol and drugs. Thank you for your service and real talk." Yeah, yeah. Appreciate those words, Patricia. Um, it is so needed. It is so needed, and I think that I'll just keep plugging at it. I'll keep plugging at it. Maybe some other folks will come on board, and there are people out there championing the cause as well. So you never know like who you're going to touch. I never know like who this video or podcast will get to, and so I just try to be consistent and try to put together something that will touch people. We'll plant a seed at least, maybe even water it, and hopefully God will give the increase in their life and get them on the right road. I appreciate those words. Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, yeah. So uh, blacking out, passing out, very real, very real. It happens. It definitely happens. Uh, and so you want to be careful, whoever you are that watch this. You want to be careful with alcohol. Um, if you can avoid it, do it. If you never started it, don't. I told my son that genes have a role in if people will be addicted. And I said, well, you'll never have to find out if your genes or your chemical makeup has an attraction to alcohol if you never try it. Like you won't even have to worry about that connection because you just never tried it. And so he just got kind of quiet about it. He's a teenager, he's 14. But I tell him, just don't experiment. And people who are out there drinking, thinking like, it's okay. Many times people will minimize, they will um, be in denial. That's the big word I wanted. They're in denial that they really do have a problem. And one thing you got to keep in mind is problems come in degrees. So sometimes people have a little problem that becomes a moderate problem that becomes a severe problem. Nobody ever becomes an alcoholic overnight. It's a process. Nobody ever becomes a half a gallon drinker. They were a pint drinker, a half a pint drinker, and they progressed. They had tolerance. Their brain adapted to what they were drinking and caused them not to feel the effects of it when they drank that amount. So they end up having to drink more. And so that's why people never get back to their original high, their original enjoyment they first experienced, because the brain is always trying to safeguard us. It's always trying to adjust chemicals and make it so that we don't really get the kind of enjoyment from drugs and alcohol because it knows that it's not good to be in the body. the brain knows that drugs and alcohol are not good to be in the body. Okay, folks. I got another question. He says, when you get an opportunity, check your message. Okay, sure will, Patricia. Thank you. Appreciate it. So yeah, folks. So your brain is adjusting. It's trying to make you safe. It's trying to keep you out of harm's way. That's what tolerance is all about. That's what tolerance is. It's a brain adjustment. People who can drink a lot more, it's because they've been drinking for a long time, and now they have had adjustments made over the years that they have to have a lot more in order to actually feel the alcohol or feel the drugs. Okay, and that's a dangerous place to get to when you develop tolerance. Okay, I'm just gonna take a minute here, just throw this commercial in here just for a second. Oh, all right, I'm back. Yeah, so we got a little timer thing going on with the camera, so they wanted to go to black. Like, what happened? So yeah, yeah. So tolerance can develop with long and um, steady drinking, and it's just serious. It's just serious. But people can find freedom. People do find freedom. People do escape the bondage of alcoholism. Nowadays, we use the term alcohol use disorder. But I want you really to get that there are levels, there are degrees of because he gonna I don't know, but it's all right. I'm just sharing anyway. Yeah, so that's how we do it. Twice a month, second and fourth at 7 p.m. So she'll be back with me as my guest. You all know she gives me such a time when she gets on here. So we'll have a great show for you. We'll have a good time talking and just trying to be the best. Okay, good night. All right, my sister. Have a good one. Thank you all for your comments. I really, really appreciate it. Again, have a good evening. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.